Hello there, this is Anarchist. This video is part 4 of an Anarchist Let's Play Stardew Valley series. I'll link to the playlist with the rest of the series in the description. We pick up on day 22, kicking off the final week of spring. It's important that I make as many labor vouchers as possible by the end of this week so I have a strong start going into summer, which is potentially the most lucrative season. The fortune teller lets me know I will have excellent luck today, so we're off to a good start. I check the mail and see I received a letter from someone called Hat Mouse, who I believe is trying to communicate that they will sell me hats. I think my straw hat is both fashionable and functional, but I'll keep his hat store in mind. I water my plants and then head off to the mines, hoping to take advantage of my good luck. I run into my friend Linus along the way and give him a cave carrot that he requested. I'm starting to develop closer relationships with the people of the valley, as well as a reputation of reliability. I'm glad that I'm helping foster more of a sense of community among the people of Pelican Town. I descend to level 45 of the mines, hoping to make some good progress. My low-level sword and unupgraded pick are starting to really slow me down, as the rocks in the mine take more and more hits to break the deeper you go, which is offset by upgrading your tools. The weapon situation is the same, with these enemies taking many hits to defeat, which is offset by finding or buying improved weapons. Buying a better sword would have been a good investment at this point, but as I got deeper and deeper in the mines, I kept telling myself that surely a good weapon would drop soon. Between the slow rate I'm going and the insufficient amount of food needed to restore my energy, I only make it a couple floors before having to retreat. I need to find a good food source and some better tools if I'm going to make progress in the mines at more than a snail's pace. I spend the rest of the day socializing with the villagers. I visit George, who appreciates my gift but isn't in the mood to talk. Thankfully, his better half Evelyn is in much better spirits. The sun is going down, so I return to the farm. I make a preserving jar, which I recently unlocked and will allow me to make jam and jelly, which will sell for more labor vouchers than fruit on their own. Before bed, I swing by and donate a parsnip to the community center, nearly finishing the spring crops bundle. I just need a cauliflower, some of which will be ready to harvest soon. I hit the hay, hoping to have a more productive day tomorrow. Overnight, my mining skill levels up, so that trip to the mines wasn't a complete failure. On the 23rd of spring, the wild seeds I planted are ready to pick. This will make watering easier and also give me a good supply of gifts and/or food. I check the mail to see a letter from Lewis, informing me that the flower dance will be held tomorrow and that I should try to find a partner for the dance. That sounds a lot more difficult than the egg hunt, but I'll try my best. I water my crops and head to Pierre to sell the more valuable silver and gold star crops, holding on to the normal ones for food. Now that I have 2,000 labor credits, I can afford to upgrade one of my tools, so I head to Clint. Along the way, I run into Haley and Penny and give both of them a flower. Maybe one of them would be down to be my dance partner. When I arrive at Clint's, I give him the copper and labor vouchers required to upgrade my pick. That should speed up my mining runs quite a bit when it's done. Since it takes 2 days to upgrade a tool, it's best to do when you won't be needing that tool the next day, such as when it's going to rain if you want to upgrade your watering can, or in this case when the next day is a holiday, so I wouldn't be spending time in the mines anyway. I thank Clint for his services and then decide to head to the beach, where I find a lot of shellfish has washed ashore. I figure harvesting the bounty of the sea would be a good way to spend the rest of the day, so I grab my fishing pole and head to the mountain lake. I catch many fish, including bullhead, largemouth bass, carp, and chub. I fish until I'm exhausted and then head back towards town, running into Sebastian along the way. He tells me that the flower dance is the worst festival of the year and he isn't looking forward to how stupid he looks while performing it. I appreciate his honesty and self-deprecation. Maybe he would be a good dance partner as well. I head to the community center to donate some fish, making progress on the lakefish bundle, and thanks to the shellfish I found on the beach, I finished the crab pot bundle, which rewards me with some crab pots to catch even more. This also triggers the unlocking of a few more bundles in the boiler room, which are some of the easiest to complete. I'm making some good progress on the community center so far. I go place my crab pots in the nearby river before heading home to sleep. Overnight, my foraging skill levels up, giving me access to the charcoal kiln, which is pretty worthless unless you never go mining. Day 24 starts off the same as usual, watering the crops and harvesting a single parsnip. I remember that the flower dance starts at 9 AM, so I head that way, wondering why a dance party would start that early. Most of the ones I attended when I lived in the city happened after the sun went down, and with lots of alcohol involved. When I arrive, I start chatting with the other villagers. Emily recommends I try the red jelly, Clint is creepily watching her nearby like usual, Elliot is being even more foppish than usual, and Gus tells me that frog season is really starting to pick up, whatever that means. Sam tells me he really likes flowers, Sebastian is unhappy to be here as he said he'd be, and Abigail confides that she finds dancing in front of others embarrassing, which I totally feel the same about. I run into my friend Pam, who tells me there are some bottles of wine tucked away with the rest of the food. Maybe this isn't that different from the dance clubs in the city. I quickly down a glass of wine before pouring myself another, as one does at 9 a.m. dance parties in the woods, and decide to find a partner. Most of the people I have talked to seem like they already have someone in mind or don't want to dance at all. When I talk to Harvey, however, he says he is working up the courage to ask someone to dance with him. I figure he's a nice guy with a nice mustache, and since I know he doesn't have a partner yet and we're in the same nervous predicament, I ask him to be my partner. He comes up with the worst excuse ever, sheepishly telling me he has plans to ask someone else. I am hurt at his rejection, so I slowly back away and hope no one has hurt us. Embarrassed, but having not completely given up hope, I decide to go talk to Haley, who seems to like me more than anyone else in town. She is practicing her dance moves, but takes a break and smiles at me as I walk up to her. She's been the flower queen for the past 5 years and expects to win this year as well. That's a little intimidating as I'm not a very good dancer myself, but I summon enough courage to ask her to be my partner. Not only does she reject my advance, she is clearly disgusted that I would even ask her. I am crushed at this double rejection and slink off into the corner to drink more wine and hope I somehow manifest the ability to turn invisible so no one sees me. Soon, the dance starts, and all the people worthy of companionship begin their courtship ritual. Upon seeing the girls' dresses, I start to get midsummer vibes, so maybe it's best that I'm not participating. Still, I can't help but begin to understand how Clint feels as we sit in the corner next to each other, yet feeling like the most alone person in the whole universe at the same time. I snap out of my momentary self-loathing and inceldom, telling myself, fuck this shit, I don't even like dancing and I've got a farm to run. I return home and head to bed, planning to have a productive day tomorrow. At least Kropotkin loves me. On the 25th of spring, I wake up to the chicken coop and my copper pick both being finished, which means I can finally get some chickens and move through the mines faster. I also have another crop of strawberries ready to pick, so this day is off to a much better start. I start turning some of the strawberries into jam, saving a couple to turn into seeds for next year, and sell the rest to Pierre, making a few thousand labor credits. I pull out some crayfish from my crab pots, looking forward to having a bowl of strawberries and crayfish later. I head to Marnie's ranch to buy a couple chickens, naming them Gungus and Wookanie. While walking through town, I run into Haley, who tells me she is going to throw away all of her old clothes to make room for new ones. That is not very anarchist of her at all, and I suggest donating them to one of the local mutual aid groups instead. At least she seems to have forgotten all about yesterday. I pick up my newly improved pick from Clint and look forward to taking it for a spin in the mines. I head back to the farm and meet my new chickens, or rather chicks. They are still babies, so I probably won't start getting eggs until the summer. It's important to start befriending them early though, because happy and healthy chickens produce more eggs. That, and I wouldn't want it getting back to Marnie and her friends at the local Animal Liberation Front cell that I mistreat my animals. I pet the baby chicks and make sure they have some hay to eat. I hope Kropotkin gets along with them. Seeing that some pine tar is ready in my tree tap, I make a couple more so that I can start collecting all 3 types of sap. I spend the afternoon fishing in the river, mostly catching trash, but a couple smallmouth bass and bream as well. I put my fish in the collection box for Lewis to sell overnight, wondering how the fish stays fresh in an unrefrigerated wooden box. Comrade Lewis always makes sure I get my labor vouchers from the things I deposit in there, so I just assume he knows something that I don't. I head to sleep, and overnight my farming skill levels up, leading to my first important skill tree decision. I can choose the rancher profession, which increases the worth of animal products such as eggs and milk by 20%, or I can choose the tiller profession, which increases the worth of crops by 10%. Economics has never been my strong suit, so I break out my copy of Value, Price, and Profit because Marx has probably addressed this at some point. Like usual when I'm trying to read Marx, my eyes gloss over after the first paragraph, and after a few pages I realize that I didn't absorb any information and am left more confused than when I started. Maybe I should have read The Conquest of Bread instead. Kropotkin talks about farming and agriculture a lot in that one and is easier to read. I decide to just ignore which is more profitable, as the town is sustained through mutual aid rather than seeking the most profitable solution, and go with rancher because I want to have a lot of animals and I don't think I've ever picked it before. I usually just try to make profitable farms and focus on growing a bunch of fruit to make wine out of, but that is not the focus of this series. On day 26, I check the Weather Channel again and see it's going to rain tomorrow, which means today is a perfect time to upgrade my watering can. My cauliflowers are done growing, so I can harvest them and finish the spring crops bundle at the community center and also deliver the cauliflower that Jody asked for. I head to Pierre's and check the calendar outside, noting that it's his birthday today. I give him a flower and he is especially grateful that someone remembered his birthday, which is kind of sad considering he has a wife and daughter. I forgot my dad's birthday once like 12 years ago and I still feel bad about it. I sell him some cauliflower and then head to the mines to try out my new pick. This thing can break through rocks in a single hit, so I can cruise through the mines much faster now. I dig up some copper ore in short order and head back to the farm and smelt it. Once I have 5 copper ingots, I head to Clint's shop to upgrade my watering can. I take a detour to drop off Jody's cauliflower and see Sam is trying to do a kickflip on the cobblestone sidewalk. This town needs some proper pavement so the kids can skate. Jody isn't home, so I figure I'll just keep an eye out for her. I drop off the watering can at Clint's, clear out my crab pots, and go check what the traveling merchant has in stock. I think about picking up the sandfish and the rare seed, but I decide to save my labor vouchers for summer crops. I head to the community center to donate a cauliflower, finishing the spring crops bundle, and am rewarded with some speed grow. Checking the other bundles, I realize I forgot to hold on to 5 parsnips for the quality crops bundle. I'm not really on track to finish the community center before my second spring anyways, so it's no big deal. It is possible to finish it in year 1, but you kind of have to do everything just right and get lucky on top of that. I unlock the bulletin board bundles, which have a mix of easy and difficult bundles, so I'll start holding on to these items. Later in town, I run into Jody and give her the cauliflower. She tells me she shops at Joja Mart due to the low prices despite not having the healthiest food. Between that and the imminent cheese cauliflower she will subject her family to, I feel sorry for them. I return to the farm to check in on the chicks and then spend the evening chopping down some more trees. I'll have plenty of space to work with in summer. Day 27 starts off on a good foot with very high luck and no need to water the crops due to the rain, which makes this the perfect day to go fishing and break in my newly upgraded pick. A few crops are ready, so I pick the tulips, potatoes, and kale and then head to the river. I eventually catch a catfish and a shad, which mostly competes the river fish bundle. It's just afternoon, so I have plenty of time to hit the mines. My shit sword is still slowing me down, but that's somewhat offset by the pick. I make it to level 50, unlocking the tundra boots, which will increase my resilience against monster attacks. I continue on, finding the last dwarf scrolls and making it to level 55 before it gets too late to continue. On my way home, I run into Sebastian, who tells me I might see a frog in this weather. I still have no idea what he and Gus are talking about with regard to frogs, and I have played over 500 hours of this game. I head to the saloon to give Emily a birthday gift, which gets me a couple hearts with her. Clint won't like that. It's pretty late now, but I decide to do more fishing since there are still some fish I need that only show up when it's raining. One of these is the eel, and I'm lucky enough to fish up a gold star one on my first cast. I catch a few more fish, including a halibut, one of my favorites, before running home and making it just before I pass out. Overnight, my farming skill levels up again, giving me access to the cheese press, which will come in handy soon, and quality sprinklers, which can greatly reduce or eliminate the effort required to water all the crops. I also level up my fishing skill, which unlocks the first profession choice: Fisher, which increases the price of fish by 25%, or Trapper, which reduces the resources required to craft crab pots. Unlike the tiller/rancher decision, this one is a no-brainer because crab pots take too much time and effort for very little payoff to ever be worth it, so I choose the fisher profession. I guess the day was even more productive than it seems, as my combat skill levels up as well. Now we have arrived at the final day of spring, day 28. The final day of each season is very important for getting a strong start to the next season, and ideally involves having as much land tilled, watered, and occupied by some sort of plant as you plan on using on day 1 of the next season. These crops will die overnight, so it's best to use cheap crops like wheat at the end of summer or fall, or just whatever you have available in the other months. The reason this is worth it is because the land will stay tilled if there were crops on it between seasons, freeing up valuable time and energy which would otherwise be used on retilling and watering everything. You can't really afford to sacrifice seeds and money in your first spring, so beyond leaving strawberry bushes up between seasons, the next best thing is to just have everything tilled, so that at least some tiles will be ready to go on the first of summer. I decide to take care of some chores before getting the field ready. I head to the community center to donate my eel and some jelly, and then head to the museum to donate the last 2 dwarf scrolls. I got pretty lucky to get all 4 in the first spring, as some of my playthroughs they haven't showed up for most of the entire first year. I head to Clint to pick up my watering can, which will make getting started next season much easier. The watering can is by far the most annoying thing to not have upgraded. I return to the farm, harvesting my last few crops, and then remember I have a mission from the wizard to bring him a fish. I've been purposely staying away from him since the last time I visited him. He made me do weird forest drugs, but I need all the labor credits I can get going into summer, so I deliver the fish to him. I return to the farm and check in on the chicks, which have now grown into chickens and have already started delivering eggs. My animal farming empire has begun. I'm sure there are references to the book Animal Farm I could make in a socialist-themed Let's Play focusing on farming animals, but I somehow made it through school without ever reading that book, and not from a lack of weirdo anti-communist teachers that were stuck in the Cold War. I do a little mining, making it to floor 60, where I finally find an upgraded weapon, which is not really an upgrade at all. I nearly get killed trying to defend myself with the little toothpick and looking for the ladder to floor 65, but I realize I have lost track of time and need to head back to the farm. It's too late to till more of the field, and I wish I hadn't gotten so carried away in the mines, because now I'm going to get home so late that I'll have an energy penalty on the first day of summer. I won't have the strongest start, but I'll try to make the most of it. So that concludes Part 4 and Season 1 of my Anarchist Let's Play Stardew Valley series. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to stay tuned for the next video covering the start of summer. Peace.